I got taken climbing by my girlfriend at the time with Leeds Uni Mountaineering Club, and we went to Stanage North, and I just kind of jumped on the end of a few ropes and flailed my way up some gritstone. But she was hooked, so I got taken out by her a couple more times that year to Rivlin and to Stanage again. And I tried to lead Black Hawk Hellcrack or something, the diff or V-diff round there. And I distinctly remember getting about 8 meters up, and there was a step left that I just did not want to do. I clearly didn't trust my gear. And I did it on second afterwards, and it found it incredibly easy, but very committing. So, yeah. Well, I'd only seconded about 3 routes, I think, at that point. So that was, I attempted leading almost immediately. But I probably seconded another 20 routes before I did a day where I the purpose was for me to lead some stuff at Windgather. And so I led 3 or 4 routes there. And that was fine. Windgather's very friendly. You can place gear, the edges are all positive, the routes aren't too tall, you can see where you're going. It just works for a beginner. But yeah, after that I still didn't lead very much for a few more years. I did seconds up to I tried, some VSs and HVSs and fell off on second. Something at Shining Clough and another route at Stanage, a VS at Stanage that I fell off on second. But I remember we did Bowfell Buttress, and there's so many pitches and it's such a long day that I wanted to contribute because I knew it would take ages if we were constantly reflaking the rope. So I did a scramble pitch, and then she did another pitch, and then there was a short corner, the crux pitch, but I could see how it was very short, so I just did that as well. And then I think I did the top pitch too. And after that, even though I didn't immediately start leading, you sort of combine that day and the Windgather day, and I knew I could lead, I just didn't want to at the time. I joined the club to try and find some more people to climb with, and to make friends as well. And I was really into bouldering. I'd been doing bouldering with people who I'd met kind of while looking for a flatmate, and climbing at City Block with them and going outdoors a little bit with them. But I couldn't find anyone who wanted to go roped climbing. And even they wouldn't go outdoors that often, even with the boulders. So I joined the club to find somebody to go rope climbing with. And I bought some sport drawers and a sport rope, and mostly did that for the first few months. That was in summer 2021. I went to Scotland with Rob, John and Taya as one of the first things I did with the club. Certainly I did a couple of other things, a bit of bouldering or whatever before that, and a sport meet at Giggleswick maybe. But that was really memorable because it was one of the main reasons I joined the club. Was I liked the way that climbing lends itself to going on holiday together. And so that was what I wanted to do, was go on holiday with some people from the club. And Taya really encouraged me up this V-diff called Assault Slabs, somewhere in Scotland. And I think I probably was incredibly dangerous. But, luckily I didn't fall off, right? So I climbed on Alec, who I met at Giggleswick, although he didn't really go to any club stuff afterwards, on his rack. A series of Wednesdays or whatever it was, towards the end of that summer. And we did, we just went to all the crags in Yorkshire, including Hetchel, or like all the crags in very short distance of Leeds, to try whatever we thought we could do, right? So we did prairie steps at Baildon Bank. That might have been on a club meet, I can't remember. And fairy steps at Ilkley, and I did square chimney at Cayley, and I did, we top roped some stuff at Hetchel. We just kind of would turn up at all the crags near Leeds and try something. And we did that about 4 or 5 times. And then we went to Armscliff and he did V chimney and traverse. And then the next time I just did Bird's Nest crack, because I was like, well, we've done all the V diffs and the severes, so let's try that. And it went okay. So then it was winter, and then in 2022, right at the start, we went to Woodhouse Scar, and I was like, right, well, I did another 2 severes and they went fine. I was like, right, what's the next grade? So I sort of looked in the guidebook. It's okay, VS is next. I knew VS was next, of course, but so I was like, okay, where's a VS? And we just looked at the guidebook, tried to find a VS with some stars, and then I set off up it. No idea how hard it would be. Not really any idea what type of climbing it was, except what it said in the guidebook. And I could jam, obviously, because I'd done Bird's Nest crack, but I didn't have any crack gloves. And then the crux was jamming, I think. But it's very short, and I just tried really hard and managed to get to the top. My endurance was always a problem, because I'm never a big fan of climbing plastic on a rope indoors. I find it quite boring. It just feels a little bit like, well, certainly at the lower grades, I find it feels like I'm just climbing a ladder with slightly smaller rungs, and it's a pure physical test, and the complexity of the movement is what I find interesting. I don't find it interesting to just do the climbing equivalent of going for a run. I don't mind so much bouldering, so therefore the climbing equivalent of sort of powerlifting, something just like top end, absolutely try really, really hard for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. That's a bit different. So yeah, I just tried to go outdoors as much as I could, really. And joining the club meant I could climb with people who were better than me. And actually, when I look back, some people, you notice the longer you've been in the club that people pick who they want to climb with, even if they don't realise they're picking it. And I was just picking men who are better than me pretty much all the time, like when I had the chance to. I don't think that's because I wanted to get better at climbing necessarily, although I did. I think that's just because A, that's who I got on better with, and B, I've always wanted to impress those people. So it felt natural for me to try to climb hard stuff when I was climbing with them. I didn't get that psyched by anything else, not on grit for quite a long time. It wasn't until I did Northwest Arret at Gimmer that I was like, now that was cool. There was just something so out there about that route at the time for me. I think I had done an HVS or 2. Maybe that was around the same time as the Rillstone trip, and I just found it absolutely mega. So exciting. I was with my friend Josh, who doesn't climb, so it was all on me, just wow. The Rillstone trip, I I think I seconded somebody else on Extraction. Oh, I can't remember. Or I watched somebody else climb it. One or the other. Anyway, you can... A bit of controversy because the start is like there's multiple different ways to do it, and the correct way to do it is far harder than the way I went. But anyway, I still got onto the slab from a bit higher up than some of the other methods, and did the run out bit, which is like some pebble pulling and standing on pebbles above your gear. And I thought, well, if that's all HVS is, I can do that. You know, I just need to stay calm and accept that the fall is longer, even if it's still safe. So I did another one, I think at a different trip to Rillstone as well, a similar kind of slab, and I went to Froggatt, and I did Toddy's Wall and Three Pebble Slab as well, which is sort of HVS, right? I think in hindsight I probably shouldn't have done Three Pebble Slab, but James lent me his totems. I think they would have been fine to fall on, and I don't think I would have fallen off the top slab. I would have fallen off the bit getting onto the top slab, which is sufficiently close to the gear. So yeah, or I don't know how long I'd been climbing on lead, on trad, probably 9 months when I did Three Pebble Slab. But I think I knew that I wasn't really an HVS leader. I'd just done some HVSs because I'd seconded some other things, and I don't know, Great Western or Overhanging Grooves or whatever, and found them incredibly difficult. So I knew I couldn't lead everything, just things that were in my style. Started climbing with Graham Matthew more, and you know what he's like, rat up a drain pipe on everything. So bits and bobs. I probably tried Scar at Baildon, and we went out lamping once or twice. So I seconded Will Smith up Scar Wall, which I practiced on top rope and then did it clean on second, which I was very happy about. And I thought, maybe one day I'll lead this, maybe next year. At the time I thought they probably thought something ridiculous like that, but I went back to that more recently and couldn't do the move, so shows how hard it is. But yeah, I tried some other things, not loads. Tend to find that people don't take you up E1s, especially on grit, very often, because they're too scary, mostly. There's not very many people who are just going out and doing them for fun, like on a Tuesday, whatever, you know. There's people who are doing them, but they're doing them, it's their project, or it's, you know, they're really psyching themselves up, they're getting their favourite B layer. So you don't get that many opportunities to do those routes unless you properly seek it out. I think what I would consider my first E1 was with the same guy I did Northwest Arete with. I think I just really wanted to take him on a big adventure. He was my friend from before climbing, and I was so excited to show him how epic climbing was. So that's why we did Northwest Arete on Gimmer. And then the year after, we were in Wales. And I think I knew Cemetery Gates was somewhere between HVS and E1. And I was just super inspired, because how could you not be? You take one look at Dinas Cromlech and you want to climb it, right? Somehow, which seems mad looking back, I was just like, I can climb that. And so I just got on Cemetery Gates and did it. The start was a bit bold. I was unsure. I nearly came back down. And then Josh encouraged me. I committed round the corner, and the crack above was quite steady away, lots of gear, and I was quite happy plugging along. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And then it started getting hard, and I was a bit worried and getting a bit tired. Hadn't found a couple of jams, was just starting to Gritstone style sort of yank a cam off my rack, shove it in, move on, yank a cam, shove it in, move on, you know, where you're just trying to get up without pumping out. And I like placed one last nut right before the ledge. Somehow pulled over the ledge, like literally with the last of my power, and looked back and the nut had come out. You know, Josh couldn't see me at all because he's around the corner at the bottom. And I was just like, ugh, on the ledge for about 5 minutes, and brought him up onto a horrible hanging belay. And then we continued up the VS finish. And I was so proud of myself. I don't know, I think I was quite fortunate that I picked a route that worked, because that would not have worked with a lot of routes at that grade, but it did for that one. Yeah, I mean, obviously I did loads of climbing. I was obsessed. I was trying to get out all the time, basically whenever it was dry and I still had some power left in my arms. And I think I did, 100 leads in 2022 and 150 in 2023, or trad routes anyway, maybe not leads. And then 170 in 2024 and something ridiculous like that, maybe more. But we booked to go to Morocco at the start of 2024, so I did a lot of trad climbing there, and that was nice because I started the 2024 season with just this bank of mental confidence and moving on rock and placing gear in a way that you don't get if you just wait and wait and wait for the weather to get good. Not the case this year, obviously, because the weather's been amazing, but in 2024 that was quite useful, particularly because it didn't get good until at least May. Around May, and then it was only good for a bit and then it went bad again, so you kind of needed your head to be in the right place almost when it was dry. You needed to just go and do something because you weren't going to get another chance. You didn't have the opportunity to build your confidence and then do something hard. And I didn't go mad in 2024. I think that was the year really where I did just consolidate. Just did a whole bunch of different stuff around HVS to try to get a broader skill set. And I was still falling off HVS. I mean, I just said to you, I'm still falling off HVS now. HVS is such a terrifying grade sometimes. Or maybe not terrifying depending on what route it is, but certainly you just don't know if you're going to get up it, especially on an on-site. Senility a few weeks ago and Beeline last week, both of them, I got to the crux and was just like, I can't do this. It's too hard. E2, E3, yeah, well, at the start of 2023, so even before I did Cemetery Gates, we were at Brimham and it was a perfect Gritstone bouldering day. We were just bouldering, and one of the guys I was with was messing about on this huge arete that I didn't know what it was, and so I went over and tried the moves and realised that I could maybe do it, but it was massive, and I was like, well, there's no way I'm doing that. It's ridiculous. It's far too dangerous. But after trying the moves again and realising I could go higher, we went and got all the pads. I went around and had a look at the top and realised the top was nice. You obviously wouldn't want to get 8 meters up and then find yourself on a sloping Brimham top out. And so then I just went up and did it, which I was very happy about. And I remember standing at the top and going, fuck yes. And there's someone of Boulder who looks at me like, why are you so happy with yourself? Not knowing, of course, that for me, that was huge because I'd not done an E1 and I'd just got to the top of an E3. It's not the same as a roped route, different skill set required, I think, but it gave me the confidence that I was physically capable of doing harder than E1. I just needed to find the right routes or try them, practice the moves, kind of like how you do with bouldering. And yeah, so I wanted to do Scar at Baildon. And so I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until I did it. I think that some people I know, they just really don't like doing that because either they want the on-site for that route or they don't like doing that at all, which is fair enough if that's what you want to do, but I kind of would rather prioritize trying more things and trying harder things and learning how to do something that hard than getting the on-site. I don't really care about getting the on-site almost at all. It's nice to have, but I mainly care because it's just a faff. If you can't get back on the route or you have to abseil down to get your gear or something, or you have to go and do it again to get it clean then, then you haven't done it clean, so then it's unfinished business and you've got to go back and do it again. But yeah, I don't really mind falling off. And so, I've done, 10 routes above E1 or so. And I think I've tried all of them first before doing them on lead. I am getting to the point now where a combination of my ability to read the rock and my strength means that if it's not gritstone, I'm quite confident on HVS and even E1 sometimes. Just that, not that I won't fall off, even on gritstone, I sometimes get this, especially at HVS, probably not at E1. I'm not confident that I won't fall off, but I'm confident that if I start struggling, I can go back to my gear and I will have enough power in the tank to go back to my gear, or I will be able to aid climb or something, that I won't take a horrible fall, basically, because I'll know that bit looks really hard. There's my last piece of gear. I'm gonna go up, have a look, try and come back down to the gear, have a rest or whatever. My tactics have got better and my endurance has got better. So I can combine those two things, and my reading of the rock has got better as well. It's not that long ago, only in 2023 probably, where I would just be like a blind man flailing around. I would just be sort of feeling the rock and hoping that I found a hold. And then, I'd just put my feet on things and hope that body position would get me to the top in a way that I really didn't have until very recently. I can almost always now just look at a series of moves and know where my body is going to be and how my body is going to push or pull, so that I can move faster as well. When I went to Chamonix recently, because there was 10 pitches of granite, I just had to climb it as fast as I possibly could, and I pulled on one piece of gear through one crux, and then there's a series of bolts where you pull on right at the top as well. And I went the wrong way and pulled on a whole bunch of gear, and and I just climbed everything really fast. And I think all of those things might combine soon to potentially being able to on-site harder than low ND1, but it's going to take a lot of time on rock to make them all come together. I think it's still easier by far and you feel so much more confident on a red point, at least I do. You know where the gear's going to be, and you know how hard the moves are. So when you get to, as you leave each piece of gear, you can feel in your arms if you have enough to get to the next piece of gear, because you know how far away it is. I tried with Graham in April or something on top rope and knew that I wasn't going to lead it, and I've got a hole in my finger. And then I went again more recently, it was last week, on Tuesday, and I could do the moves half the time on top rope, and I thought, let's just get on lead to get a lead out the way, because if you never get on lead, it kind of builds up in your head. It's nice actually to fall off on lead once on the route, so that you've already, even though you've obviously top roped it already, you've already blown the onsite, right? There's still some level of like, you want to do it first try, and so you climb really badly on that first attempt because you really want to do it, and you're way more scared because suddenly you're on lead. So it's actually good, I think, to get on lead just before you're ready, and just fall off. A safe fall, obviously, but and so that's what I did. I climbed up to the crux, placed the 2 gold cams, and then I just completely punted off the crux, not even close. And then I rested on the rope, got through the crux, and I knew really that I didn't have enough power to do the top, but I wanted to try anyway, and so I just carried on. And then you can see in the video I'm like really straight on to the rock, and I put the right foot in but I missed, and so then I wasted some power putting it in the right place, and I just slap with the right hand in the wrong place, and I almost hold on but not quite, and then I'm gone. But it's safe. Yeah, it's just a big old whip. It's actually really nice, that fall, because you fall under the overhang and then it takes all the power out of the movement. I tried at Brimham, after we did Pathos, Grit Expectations, which gets E4, I think it used to get E5, and I could do all the moves. And I was so excited. I really wanted to go back and try again. But it's been too hot, really, and I've been busy. So I haven't been back and tried again yet. But that's the goal, I think. That's what I want to do next. I need to go and look at the gear again to check it's sufficiently safe to try. But if it is, then hopefully, yeah.